We'll see how it plays out in this matchup. Meteorfallian does have the advantage starting on that winner side. As you take a look at his team here, he got the Party Hat Blastoise. Not on this graphic, but you'll see it when he gets into the game. And that's really been really solid for him, just like he said. Of course, he got the Bastion as well. And, you know, quintuple rock coverage, I was going to say. Right, you got the Power Gem, the Rollout, the Rock Slide, the Stone Edge, the Smackdown, and the Rock Tomb. So there are answers to the Murkrow. Corviknight, though, maybe a different story. You know what Stumpus, I'm very interested to see if Pranav brings out a lot, but I think it could be really, really solid into the team as long as you avoid that that Marowak and the Credilli. Yeah, I do think, you know, Stumpus could be really, really strong here, and it might make it a little difficult for Meteorfallian to come up with safe lines of 3 to run without running something that's ABA weak to that Unova Sunfisk and potentially ending up in a bad matchup where he can't necessarily swap out. That Blastoise really doesn't want to see it because you're doing resisted rollout damage, and Unova Sunfisk can easily live a Hydro Cannon, will outpace to double discharge, so it would be really uncomfortable, but you might have to stay in that if he ends up in that matchup. It looks like our trainers are locked in for our first game of this grand finals. We have Bastiodon into Murkrow. This is an amazing lead.
Brutal lead.
Yep, amazing lead for Meteorfallian. Pranav immediately swaps into his Corviknight and is met by the Galarian Corsola. This is not the most comfortable matchup for Corsola because it can be hit with that super effective payback, which is going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised on this play from Meteorfallian. Does he call the bait or not? No, he calls the payback, actually incorrectly shields here. I mean, it's a little bit uncomfortable for Murkrow even into the Galarian Corsola because you have to shield the potential Power Gem, and you get a lot of entry on this. I thought he was going to come in Blastoise, actually, but Blastoise will be in the back for the Unova Sunfisk, and Pranav maybe going to put everything on the Unova Sunfisk here. Bring that Double Flyer, and yes, they cover each other well, but it doesn't really matter, though, if you get the bad matchup in this specific situation. I think Meteorfallian going to go for Astonish down. He'll lead with a Power Gem, and that gets really, really awkward for Pranav afterward.
Yeah, I do think he's going to look to get the full Astonish down here. However, Pranav is going to get an Air Cutter, which is going to leave this Corsola very, very low. Pranav could potentially even snipe it down with something, but he might choose to just stay in. He does actually go for the peck on the Murkrow, but he locks the Murkrow into the Bastiodon now.
Yeah, however, this is a really tough position because, I mean, this is not the matchup you want, and on top of that, there is no switch timer on the side of Meteorfallian. The one with the switch timer is actually Murkrow and Pranav, and there's no way he gets out of this matchup before the Smackdowns completely eviscerate this Murkrow. However, he has a shield advantage, you know, Stumpus in the back, and with the rollout damage from resisted from the Blastoise, it's actually not the worst matchup there. You know what's going to be hitting you. It's going to be the Hydro Cannon. Everything else is going to do very little damage to this Unova Sunfisk.
Yeah, that Unova Sunfisk is looking really, really good in the back. Bastiodon is loaded on energy, though, but Pranav also has a catch potential at some point. I don't imagine he does that very early on, but maybe as a last-ditch effort later on he could. However, Meteorfallian immediately throws the Flamethrower. I wonder if he was expecting something weak to fire coming in, which this is the correct move to throw as the Stone Edge would be resisted. So then immediate swap into Blastoise. He has chipped this Unova Sunfisk. I'm not sure if it's quite in Hydro Cannon range yet, though.
Yeah, and you can see Pranav getting a little excited. I think he was really scared it was a Marowak in the back, but instead, it's actually the Blastoise. And this is everything Pranav needs to have a chance here. You can even still go for a catch opportunity, and at this point in time, too, you're going to have to shield the super effective discharge. Can you even catch here is the question, because that really puts Pranav ahead, but I don't think he even needs to here as the first Hydro Cannon is coming out.
Yeah, Pranav still has 2 shields, and Meteorfallian is at back-to-back Hydro Cannon here. He does need to land a Hydro Cannon. Pranav might need to catch at some point because he is going to pace to these Hydro Cannons so quickly.
And this is a tough part too, right? Even if you catch a move somehow on Bastion, the problem is you can't come away with much energy. You're just going to get overfarmed with the Sunfisk. Oh, and tries to catch it, but doesn't quite get there. And now the Mud Bomb is reached. Pranav waiting until he has to back-to-back so that he can ensure that he has to discharge for the Blastoise as well.
Yeah, Pranav was not allowing that catch. Meteorfallian tried to wait a turn there and catch. Pranav said, I'm not having it. I'm watching every single move you're making, and I'm throwing when I see that fast move animation come through.
Yeah, if I may, as a Bastion expert here, I think the play that Meteorfallian really had to do is chip the Corviknight. Throw a Flamethrower at it. It's unlikely Pranav shields, and even if it does shield, he's down a shield, right?
it doesn't matter if you get hit by the payback. The Bastion's still going to beat the Murkrow later. So the health you're taking, the damage you're taking from the payback is not a problem. That way, it's much easier for you to counter the Corviknight with either the Galarian Corsola or the Blastoise. I think Blastoise makes it even better because the Murkrow can't easily come into a Blastoise, and then you can play the even shields with the Corsola into the Unova Stumpus instead. I'm very curious to see if Meteorfallian is going to make that adjustment, though, in this game number 2, because that just, unfortunately, even though you won the lead, you got the Murkrow locked in, the Unova Stumpus doesn't care about any of the energy on the Bastion. Anytime you have a ground type that bulky that can resist all the smackdown damage or take just a neutral flamethrower, you're going to be in a really good spot. And of course, the Unova Stumpus is a great answer to the Blastoise as well if you have an energy lead or a shield advantage.
Yeah, it's very curious that he didn't go Blastoise into that Corviknight safe swap. I think that would have been a much better matchup there because you're doing neutral raw damage and neutral Hydro Cannon damage, and the Corviknight is not going to two-shot the Blastoise either, so it's a little bit of a more even matchup, whereas with the Corsola, you even have to shield the Corsola from the payback before you can get rid of that Corviknight. And then all that energy got wasted anyway because Pranav was able to snipe later with that Murkrow and just nullify all the energy on that Corsola.
Yeah, in my opinion too, right? Like if your opponent's team only has one really hard answer to something like a Bastion, you could safely bring Bastion into most of your games. You don't have to, but you can, right? Because the Corviknight, yeah, it can beat the Bastion, but it's not clean. The Fortress has some play, but you have to shield all the flamethrowers. Corsola as well, it's not great, but Bastion has a lot of play. So in that, keeping that in mind, Pranav does have to prepare for this Bastion. If he doesn't bring Unova Stumpus, it could be a problem. And here we go, game number 2. It's going to be the Bastion yet again. Meteorfallian doubles down, and he finds a fantastic lead here, but this time he has 2 hard answers to that Unova Stumpus, and he didn't bring the Unova Stumpus this time.
Yeah, I wonder if Pranav just left it on the bench because he was expecting that Marowak to come out as an answer, since Meteorfallian did go ABA weak to that Unova Stumpus, and it proved to be a huge core breaker for him last game. Figured he was probably going to bring some answers to it this game.
Yeah, and I think Meteorfallian this time around is going to go for that chip and dip strategy. Grabs the shield too, that's absolutely huge. And now he could bring in that Galarian Corsola if he chooses to, and that's exactly what he chooses to do. And here's the tough part, right? You come in Credilli into this later, it's not the best matchup either, and you have the Marowak avoiding the Corviknight matchup. That's all you need. As long as you're not in any of the flyer matchups, you have a lot of play.
Yeah, I really like this bait from Pranav because he is expecting a shield from that Galarian Corsola because he shielded last time, right?
Yeah.
First game, Pranav full sent the payback and he shielded it up. So this time he baits and gets the shield the same way. Now he will get to a boosted payback here, but he chooses to bait again, and Meteorfallian actually calls it. And he's gonna let this go. He said, I'm not two shielding my Corsola here. I'm saving a shield for likely my Marowak in the back. He can, however, get to another air cutter here. He got the double boost, but again, Corsola's gonna easily tank this move.
Yeah, very curious bait on that one. I agree with you too, right? I didn't think that he was, Meteorfallian was going to shield that one, and luckily it did pay off for him, not taking the boosted payback, just taking boosted air cutter, which wasn't doing that much damage. And here's the problem with Credilli. You can't acid this down, and you have to commit energy on top of it. With the health left on the Bastion, you have to throw the energy here, and you can't even leave it too much yourself, otherwise you're going to be in smackdown range. And you can see here too, throwing on charge like priority, great timing from Pranav, and Meteorfallian going to let it go. And now he has the Marowak, which is a neutral matchup into the Corsola, but the Corsola is not really the best Bastion answer either.
Right, he has an entire Marowak in the back that's going to put in a lot of fast move pressure into that Corsola in the back. So this is a really uncomfortable matchup for Credilli. He does actually swap and catches the flamethrower on the Galarian Corsola. Interesting that he threw the flamethrower. I guess Meteorfallian was maybe expecting something else in the back that was going to be maybe the Fortress. That was going to be weak to that fire move, but he didn't throw the neutral. Comes back in with Kwak now.
I think that's a solid play if he was anticipating catch, because he's saying, you know what, if it's Unova Stumpus, it's the better move to throw. If it's not Unova Stumpus, my Marowak can beat it, right? And so that's kind of the thought process going there. And you can see here too, right? As long as you whittle down this Galarian Corsola, you're going to be in a really good position here. I think you actually take out the Galarian Corsola now, especially after landing the flamethrower. And because of that, I mean, you can't really acid this down. Look at the health on the Credilli, and you can see here too, great timing from Meteorfallian. Oh, wait, and he grabbed the final shield from Pranav.
Credilli did swap out with almost 2 moves loaded. It has so much energy, and he can come actually get the acid down here on that Marowak. But his Credilli is so low, and Bastion still survives a Grass Knot here. It is not threatened by this.
Yeah, but the problem is, if you could get both Grass Knots off, it could be a problem here. Let's see if that's going to be the case or not. In comes another one. I like the play from Pranav. Not even going to try to go for the extra acid. Not sure if he's going to survive the smackdown. He has the Nightshade loaded now. I think this might be his game. Nightshade should... I actually don't know if it's KOs. It'll be pretty close.
It's going to be very close.
Yeah, it might be a simul KO, but there's no way Meteorfallian wins that one. It could be a tie, though. Is it going to be a tie? And indeed, no, it isn't a tie. Pranav gets astonished through. Wow.
What a close end game there. Banking all of that energy on the Credillion swapping out was actually huge, so he could come in and start threatening with those Grass Knots. He also banked that energy on the Corsola. Pranav has been so consistent this entire series with banking so much energy on every single one of his Pokemon and swapping out with it. He said, I always want to have energy I can throw and threaten something.
And this is the thing that's probably going to haunt Meteorfallian later. If he just do the Stone Edge, that doesn't happen. You do more damage into the Corsola, you're not put in that position. A lot of things working out just perfectly for Pranav, but Meteorfallian could probably maybe clean up some of these matchups himself as well here too, to make these games much more closer and have a chance for him to win it as well. This is really reminiscent of the Pittsburgh Regional because kind of like Z's was, he had a massive team comp disadvantage and he only had one hard answer to the Bastion. So in that situation, it was a Gastrodon, and when he didn't bring the Gastrodon, he had to take down this bulky steel type by committee, right? With the Corviknights, with the Credillion as well. And we're seeing that play out here in Milwaukee on Pranav.
Yeah, and this is part of what Pranav was talking about earlier in that interview when he said it's a team effort. He is using every single Pokemon on his team together to take down this Bastion and deal with this team from Meteorfallian, right? He is not relying on one singular Pokemon, and he is just using every single Pokemon on his roster to try to take down this Bastion and switch out, misalign switch timers, right? Dance around as much as he can, get energy here, there, everywhere, and just go for it.
Yeah, it's, you know, Pranav is the one that looks the most stressed here, but he's already up 2-0, and Meteorfallian's going to have to reverse sweep in order to win it in this first series. There's likely going to be a bracket reset, but who knows? Maybe Meteorfallian can pull off some magic here. I feel like Meteorfallian is kind of learning this matchup as he's going along, right? Playing it a little bit differently every time, and he has the room to do that because he could lose this series and come back and play it better the next time around. Pranav has to win this one to have a chance. He's ready in a great start though here, and he again decides to bench the Stumpus, and this is actually going to be really problematic for him because the Credillion, the Murkrow, they are not going to do well into Bastion. Even 1v2, it gets pretty rough for those two.
Yeah, he was definitely hoping that Meteorfallian would lead Bastion for a third time, and he did not. He changed it up, and it has the Corsola. I think Meteorfallian just stays in and plays this out because Corsola is not on that Murkrow. So this is a decent matchup for him. He's like, okay, if I can just avoid that Murkrow on the Corsola, then I'm good. And Pranav's actually going to swap into his Credillion and start farming up some energy here and take a Nightshade.
This is going to be really bad for Pranav if Bastion comes in because you're going to get so much energy, and this energy goes everywhere into the team of Pranav. You would come out with Flamethrower, you come out with Stone Edge, even if you try to go for a catch, you don't want to catch a Flamethrower on a Murkrow either, so you're put in such a tough position. And the chip damage from Nightshade is really smart from Meteorfallian because now you know that you can just smack it all the way down and come out with almost 2 Stone Edge or 2 Flamethrower.
Yeah, and these acids are double resistant, triple resisted on this Bastion, actually. Double resisted by the steel typing, single resisted by that rock typing. So he is never aciding down. He has to continue throwing these Grass Knots, and those smackdowns are chunking through this Credillion.
Yeah, and Pranav trying to do whatever he can, but he's got to suspect that there's a good answer to Murkrow in the back with the Corsola in the lead, and that's exactly going to be the case. It's going to be that Blastoise, and Blastoise looks really strong. I think LW Josh actually brought in a Murkrow, or no, it was someone else that brought a Murkrow into Bastion. Actually, this Credillion putting the Bastion quite low at this point too. The problem is, how do you take out this Blastoise on top of the rest of the team?
Yeah, Bastion will only get one move here before it gets sand attacked down. But this Flamethrower should take out this Corviknight. Oh, it's going to be close, but I think it will take out the Corviknight here.
Yeah, and now comes the Murkrow, but can you withstand the rollout damage is the real question. It is a non-Shadow Murkrow, but it looks like a Shadow one as Super Vector rollouts are coming through. I mean, you pretty much got to save all your shields for the Blastoise, right? I wonder if Meteorfallian's going to go straight for a fast attack down at this point.
Yeah. if 4 charge attacks are thrown here, Pranav actually saved that Corviknight. He lived on 1 HP, so he could potentially go for a catch at some point as well. But Meteorfallian still has a Corsola that's in the yellow, and it's going to take a move to knock that out. And then he also has a catch potential of his own with that 1 HP Bastiodon.
That's right. We'll see if what this plays out to be, because the Corsa might be able to maybe throw a Nightshade at the Murkrow later. So trying to strip the shields, realizing that the rollouts are not doing nearly enough. Non-stab rollout, and rollout just doesn't hit very, very hard. Let's see if there's going to be a catch potential or not. Could also just throw on bad timing here. Oh, in goes the Bastion to try to catch it, but the catch swap from the Corviknight at the same time from Pranav. I think the Murkrow led with the move. Oh, and getting this is huge though, because yes, you have energy, but the Astonish starting to really add up. Can you get to the double drill back in time is the real question. First drill back is going to be reached. You can see Pranav feeling a little bit excited here. Can he get this drill back to take out the Blastoise? Blastoise has still a decent amount of health left, but I don't know if it's enough here. Blastoise has the move. Oh, and this drill back is coming through. Blastoise on the bulkier side, but I don't know if it can tank it or not.
Yeah, this is going to be really close if it KOs or not. But we see Blastoise does not survive, and Pranav resets the bracket with a 3-0 sweep. We are now going into bracket reset.
Wow. Wow, what a performance for Pranav so far in this series. I mean, choosing to bench the Unova Stumpfist after the fact, after seeing Bastion in every single one of these games, it is so hard to dance around these matchups, but he's playing it so well in these situations, just banking everything on the Corviknight, even using the Murkrow there in the end. Murkrow 2-shield into the Blastoise paid off there. I mean, generally speaking, you're thinking Murkrow probably should lose that, but this bird just hits so hard, and you can tank the rollouts and just outpace everything on the side of Meteorfallian. What is the adjustment he needs to make here? Because I feel like, in a way, he has a strong team composition advantage into Pranav's team.
Yeah, it's been crazy to watch Pranav dance around and just somehow come out on top every single game. I think Pranav's just used to doing that kind of gameplay, or maybe it's not Meteorfallian's style as much. We have seen him run that Bastiodon in the past. We've seen him run a lot of alignment-dependent Pokemon, so he's might be more used to just playing out matches straight up rather than dancing around like that. Yep. It's a little harder to keep track, especially with that reduced switch timer, when, you know, if you do stay in, throw a move, chip and dip, right, now your opponent can come back in later and get some farm on something, especially if it's that Murkrow. That energy is going to be going everywhere, and it's going to hit so hard. It's really hard to just keep track of all the dancing around.
Yeah, and I mean, for Pranav's team, it's easy for him to dance around, right? Because things pace a lot faster. If you look at Meteorfallian's team, a lot of it is very slow charging moves, right? Especially the Bastion, the Corsola. The Blastoise takes a little bit of second as well there too. The Marowak, obviously, if you're trying to throw the rocks, that's going to take you forever to get to. Cordelia's not the fastest either. You had the Bureau, and we saw Meteorfallian rely on the Bureau a lot this tournament, but it just does not have as much play into Pranav's team, and because of that, he's leaning a little bit into his old ways of playing a lot more alignment-dependent teams, a lot of Bastion now, but his hand is kind of forced, especially with Pranav bringing that Corviknight every time. The Vero just is completely walled off there, plus you have to worry about the Unova Stumpfist, and you lose charge attack priority to the Murkrow, and because of that, he has to rely on these slower, long-haul Pokemon to try to win him games, and he's coming kind of close, but just not close enough.
Yeah, I think the Bastiodon has underperformed a little bit because it's just so slow pacing. The only thing it's really having a lot of fast move pressure into is that Murkrow, but the pacing on Bastiodon has just been so slow. He hasn't been able to like really do much with it. It's just kind of sitting there and tanking 5 grass knots, right? Yep. While he's trying to smack down through this Cradilly, but he just takes so much damage in the process and loses an entire Pokemon in the process. I think maybe leaning on that Fearow might be a good idea. Just pacing wise, you can pace to those drill pecks in 5 pecks, and you also pace to the drill run in 6. So that just speeds up the process a little bit more. But it can potentially pull those shields from Pranav earlier, and then his harder hitting Pokemon might come in and be able to sweep from there.
Yeah, something I would really like to see Meteorfallian try to, you know, adjust to. Obviously, he can't hear me right now, so maybe he won't. But I think he is playing very alignment dependent. But, you know, with the Corsola in the lead there and the quick swap from Pranav, there's probably a good chance there's a Murkrow in the back, right? And because of that, what you can do is, you know what? In comes the
Credilli into the Corsola, just stay in. You know, just do what you can with the Corsola, and you avoid the Murkrow matchup. And now you have a Bastion, a Blastoise versus a Corviknight and a Murkrow, and it's way harder for Pranav to overcome that much of a hurdle, especially if Bastion is at full health.
Yeah, I agree. I think he probably decides to bring the Fearow. I would love to see it if he brought the Fearow. I think that's maybe the little piece that he's missing here. Was just having that pacing and be able to pressure those shields a little bit faster, and also have that hard-hitting charge attack. Even if you do lose Captai to that Murkrow, right? Pranav has not been leading it ever since he let it into that Bastiodon, right? He has been putting it in the back now. So maybe you could even lead Fearow potentially, bank up some energy, get out, and just kind of try to play around a little bit and start dancing and make Pranav dance, right? So far, Pranav has been kind of leading the dance, and Meteorfallian has been responding to it. But maybe if he takes charge in a different way and he starts to lead the dance, then he can get up and make Pranav respond to his changes.
Yeah, both players kind of switching it up a bit throughout the games too. Sprinkling a little bit, as you know, Stunfisk in that first game, and just relying on that double flyer core. I mean, like in theory, double flyer with Corviknight into Bastion is not bad, but still not comfortable, you know, for the Corviknight user. And I'm just really impressed with Pranav's ability to still find wins with pretty much anything on his team for the most part, right? I mean, this does not look like a great matchup. It's not the best, you know, game for some of Meteorfallian's Pokemon, like that Marowak and maybe the Fearow to a degree, but his other 4 Pokemon have a lot of utility, and it's just so impressive to see Pranav dance around and find win conditions on it. I think Meteorfallian maybe mentally was like, you know what, a reverse sweep here might be kind of hard, so I'm just going to just, you know, test the waters a bit and lock in for this bracket's reset. Here we go, the bracket is reset. This is going to be the final series of the Milwaukee Regional. The winner of this will be crowned the champion. Game number 1 is underway. Meteorfallian versus Pranav.
Trainers are locked in. We are just waiting for the screens to load. Looks like we might have some sort of technical issue going on, though. The game's not starting, so we might have to stall a little bit longer before we actually get to see what the players are running in this game.
My apologies, got a little excited here early on, but yeah, the players are going to reset a little bit here as they're thinking through their teams. I mean, I think they already thought through the team, so it should be a quick, easy reset. But again, a lot on the line here. Both these players would be their first tournament title, and you know, getting all the way to a grand finals is no easy task, right? Sometimes you look at some of the best players in our circuit, right? Especially in North America, we got Out of Pocket, Elam, you know, Rise Occasion, Elite. Some of these players constantly in these grand finals, having, you know, usually a championship once every season, maybe multiple. But it is no easy feat to get to this grand finals. And for some of these players, this may be the last time either of these players or both of them make it to grand finals in a long time. So you need to absolutely do your best here and lock in for this final best of 5, because who knows when you'll ever get a chance here. And again, there's so much at stake too. Not only will you be crowned champion, but you will be earning your world qualification directly to World Championships here in San Francisco this year. And I mean, this is the second tournament of North America. It's kind of like SJ from one of his videos in the segments earlier. He just won a regional early on, and he said, you know what, I'm pretty chill. I'm just gonna you know, wait around for Worlds, and that's totally fine. Whereas, you know, if you don't win this, you still have to go to tournaments, try to get as many points as possible, because it is no guarantee that you qualify for Worlds yet.
Yeah, even if you do top cut, you get points, there's no guarantee unless you actually win the tournament, right? Then you get that direct invitation and you are guaranteed a spot in Worlds. But if you don't, you could potentially get points here and then not get points at other tournaments, and you're still like hungry for those points, trying to get into that top 75 here in North America to try to get that Worlds qualification, and you won't actually know until after NAIC, which is like in June, right? So that's when all of the points get finalized and you know the top 75.
Yeah, you're absolutely right here too, and you know it could be stressful, right? Because I remember last year at North American International Championships, a lot of people refreshing the leaderboards, right? Trying to see how close they were to that World's qualification, especially if you're on the cusp. But these two players are already getting a lot of points here, making it into this top 2, right? But one of them will be getting a little bit more, and of course that also
plays in the factor of travel awards too, so there's a chance that one of these trainers will be heading to an international or even world travel award as well as they rack up all these points.
Yeah, that's a very good point. People are competing for travel awards as well. You see a lot of the top players who want to consistently make those top cuts and compete in so many tournaments because they get those travel awards and their travel is paid for, right? So
yes.
they get essentially paid to go to these tournaments and compete even more. And so you see that a lot. Now we are finally locked in. We have Galarian Corsola into Fortress. This is a really good lead for Meteorfallian.
Yeah, and you know, and having a lot of answers to Bastion this time around, to recognizing that Pranav's like, you know what, this guy's not going to stop bringing Bastion. I'm going to bring 3 of my better answers to it. Fortress has some play there, but you know, Stunfisk and Corviknight do beat it as well. However, the alignment's pretty important for Meteorfallian because he really wants to make sure. Oh no, he comes into Blastoise into the Corviknight instead. There goes his strong answer to the, you know, Stunfisk. It's not even the strongest answer for what it's worth. The Galarian Corsola can still have play into the, you know, Stunfisk, so it's definitely not over yet, but drawing out the Blastoise is going to be a little bit better for Pranav here because now, you know, Stunfisk has a lot of play into the backline of Meteorfallian.
Yeah, he could potentially be thinking that there might be a Murkrow in the back, and maybe that's why he wanted to save the Bastion for that, knowing that that Blastoise did not have a comfortable matchup into it last time. However, the Unova Stunfisk doesn't really want to deal with that Corsola either because it's going to take a lot of Astonish damage, and those Mud Bombs do not do very much to it. So still on pretty even playing field here, and Pranav does get this parting payback. Will Meteorfallian choose to shield it? He does. He actually wants to keep alignment here, which makes sense. You do want your Ghost type on the Bug type because those Bug bites are resisted damage. So this Blastoise is not going to be easy to get rid of either because he's got a Hydro Cannon loaded and he's got a lot of health. Pranav is going to choose to shield up this Hydro Cannon, would be super effective damage. He's probably going to look to save health on this Stunfisk.
Yeah, this could be the opening that Meteorfallian needs because now he knows the entire backline of Pranav, and now he knows that there's no way, shape, and form he's going to bring in the Bastion into this Unova Stunfisk. Corsola's going to come in here, and that could spell trouble for Pranav. In comes Corsola, and Corsola has fantastic matchups against both. I mean, it's slightly better into the Fortress, but definitely need this on the Unova Stunfisk. Pranav, maybe he's thinking, wait, maybe there isn't a Bastion. You know, he just lost 3 games in a row with a Bastion. Maybe it's something else, or maybe I have some play here. But no, not the case. Meteorfallian quadrupling down here, bringing Bastion 4 games straight despite losing the previous 3. And the Galarian Corsola just completely outbulking this Unova Stunfisk and trying to do whatever it can to take it out.
Yeah, you can see on Pranav's face, he's questioning. He's trying to think, what is in the back? I don't know. Something that doesn't want to see the Stunfisk since Meteorfallian brought this Corsola back in. Now he's going to snipe with the Rock Tomb. He does get this off. This will KO the Corsola. And Meteorfallian chooses to shield this up. We'll probably look to pivot out and save this energy for later.
Yeah, absolutely crucial energy here. And here's the thing with the Bastion, still full health. What you need to do is just farm this down as much as possible. And the thing is, Unova Stunfisk is going to win Charge Attack Priority against the Galarian Corsola. So if Pranav leads with 2 moves, he could be in a good position. However, these flamethrowers at the health range that the Unova Stunfisk is in is going to start threatening a knockout. If you get to 2 flamethrowers, you are definitely in trouble for Pranav here, as he doesn't actually have a move banked yet. And you need at least 2 Mud Bombs to take this out. This is a really tough position now for Pranav to be in.
Yeah, it is. Like you said, that Stunfisk will win the Charge Attack Priority over the Corsola, but Meteorfallian can potentially get out after the next move is thrown. So he could potentially snipe with it, but he's going to sit here and force this energy. I think he will still live this Mud Bomb, though. Even though he is 1 stage debuff, Bastion should still survive and can get this Flamethrower off. Pranav will have to throw immediately to get rid of this Bastion. Oh. And he doesn't. Goes for the extra and is sniped with the Galarian Corsola. I think this Nightshade will come close to KOing.
Yeah, Meteorfallian doesn't like to throw moves on the optimal timing a lot of times, and that will throw a lot of these players off, right? Just saying, you know what? I don't care if I give away a free turn here or there. I'm just going to go for the knockout and find a win condition. And there you go. Meteorfallian finally finding a win here, and in the most crucial situation on this bracket reset. Its score is now 1-0. If he won a game in the previous series and still, you know, lost it, you know, that win essentially was kind of useless, right? But this win is what he needs. He's now 2 wins away from being the champion of Milwaukee. And Pranav, he's just like, this guy's not messing around. He's bringing Bastion every game. I have a Unova Stunfisk, I have a Corviknight that's okay, and he even brought the Fortress that has some play into the Bastion. But when you don't have 2 hard answers, this is what happens.
Right, and unfortunately for Pranav, that Fortress has Sand Tomb, which although it's super effective, does essentially nothing, and those Bug Bites are resisted by that Steel typing of the Bastiodon. So he has to land so many Sand Tombs to do any kind of real damage there, and that he's just missing that hard-hitting Earthquake, which it also learns. So that would do a lot better into the Bastiodon matchup. But unfortunately, Fortress is not a Bastiodon answer in this case with that moveset that he's running.
Yeah, we'll see how Pranav adjusts here too. I mean, even though he's in the grand finals, it doesn't look like he's having the best of times because this is a stressful matchup. I feel like everyone else he's played this tournament, you know, a lot of weaving in and out, banking energy, swapping around, stuff like that. He can play comfortably, but this Rock Steel type Bastion makes it so hard for him to play the style he wants to because he can't just bank energy on the Murkrow, swap out. He's taking too much damage from the Smackdown, even from the rollouts as well. He has to adopt to a completely different playstyle in order to have a chance to beat Meteorfallian once again. And here we go. We bring the Murkrow and finds a perfect lead. It's going to be the Murkrow into the Corsa, and in comes the quick safe swap from the Credilli.
Yeah, he did tap a little to the side of it first before he actually managed to tap the Credilli. So he did get one Astonish through. Unfortunately, that put this Murkrow way ahead on energy here. But Meteorfallian is going to choose to shield up the first Drill Peck.
And this is an interesting position for Pranav to be in. I think he knows that there is a Bastion on the back, but on top of it, this Credilli is pretty annoying for his backline. So he wants to just make as much use as possible of this Murkrow, knowing that he's not going to have a great spot for it later into a potential Bastion. I mean, there's no way there's not a Bastion, right? He just faced it 4 times in a row, and with the quick swap from Meteorfallian, he knows what's in the back. The question is, even with that knowledge, is it enough? Oh, he catches a resistant Rock Tomb on the Unova Stumpfist. This is huge for him, but the timers are so misaligned, and now the Corsa could come right back in, giving Meteorfallian exactly what he wants, even shields. But here's the thing, Corsa come out with energy and threaten a knockout on the Murkrow as well.
Yeah, the Murkrow did not leave with a lot of energy. He had to throw into that Credilli in order to get some chip damage. But yeah, like you said, the switch timers got so misaligned, Meteorfallian could just swap right back out and bring in his Corsola into a much preferred matchup for him. And Pranav is essentially sacking his Unova Stunfisk, which is his best Bastiodon answer. And there's a Bastiodon lurking in the back.
Yeah, and Meteorfallian has so much energy now, even becoming the Murkrow. Murkrow, I think, is 1 peck away from the foul play, but you know, the Power Gem is loaded, and now comes the Corviknights. But Pranav got his hand on his forehead. He knows what's coming in. It's going to be roaring down. It's going to be the Bastion coming into this Corviknight, avoiding that Unova Stumpfist matchup. And look at the Unova Stumpfist. It has so little health in the end there, too. It's going to be really awkward even for this Bastiodon at this point in time. And yes, Corviknight can win the matchup versus Bastion if it's at full health, but it's not at full health. That Nightshade puts it in a range where the Bastion could have so much play here, and I think Meteorfallian is going to try to farm down or do as much damage as possible here, and Pranav just trying to do whatever he can. I mean, he's got to do the payback, right? Leaving with entry doesn't really even make sense because he needs his entry for the Bastiodon.
Yeah, these switch timers are slightly misaligned. I think Pranav can get out after this move, and he can. Does he choose to stay in and just force the energy? He actually snipes with the Unova Stunfisk and gets a charge attack priority.
Wait. Yeah, so Meteorfallian, 100 energy just gone. He doesn't even care.
This will take out the Bastiodon. He just sacks the energy. He said, I don't need this. I'm not shielding. I have to save my shield for the energy that's on that Murkrow. Because Murkrow, like you said, is 1 away from another move.
Yeah, and this is going to put him pretty low, too. I wonder if he comes in Murkrow, or yeah, there's no way he can sand attack down from this range here. Oh, you see the swap attempt from Meteorfallian. I don't know if this is even necessary if he has the power chip. He's out at the power chip or 1 away. No, he is at the power chip. He throws a Nightshade instead. We get the instant shield from Pranav here. He has the Drill Peck loaded now, and I think we're going to see an instant swap from Meteorfallian. Does he swap for it? No, he actually doesn't.
He's going to give him the full farm down. That is troublesome because now he is so close to 2 Drill Pecks, and Credilli is in Drill Peck range. Pranav's now at the back-to-back. Doesn't matter that Meteorfallian still has 1 shield left because Pranav can just throw a second Drill Peck, which will KO this Credilli.
Yeah, really tough situation for Meteorfallian. Maybe a miscue there, trying to just fast stack down, thinking that he can't outpace, which is the case. But let's not forget, he let a Bastion go with like 100 energy, and that energy goes somewhere to everything. Yeah, it's not great to Stunfisk, but at the health it was at, you could take that out. There's no easy way to finish off that Bastion. I mean, maybe a foul play, but you're going to have to take some damage at that point in time too. And I think it was just a little bit unfortunate that he had to just let that entire Bastion go at that point.
Yeah, I think he wanted to keep banking up energy on Bastion, but just waited too long to actually throw into that Corviknight. If he had thrown earlier, he could have pulled a shield from Pranav or potentially gotten a flamethrower onto that Corviknight, which would have done massive damage. It would not have quite KO'd, but it would have put that Corviknight in a much more manageable position there. But instead, he lost all that energy and it went nowhere.
Yeah, it did not go anywhere at all. Meteorfallian, try to think it through here. This is 5 straight games with a Bastion. If people didn't like Bastion before, they certainly do not like it now, but it is all over the screen here. But these have mostly been victories for Pranav, finding really great ways to play around it too, catching the resist rock tomb. I thought it looked pretty dire for him in that situation, but swapping out, saving the energy, and now coming in with the Corviknight and just dancing around these matchups here too, right? Kind of playing his game. This is the kind of game that he was playing and trying to find a way to play that game into a Bastion user on top of it.
Yeah, that's been really tough to adjust for both players, honestly. I think they're both trying to adopt their gameplay to each other's styles and try to fit more into each other's niches there. So it's really interesting to see how that gameplay evolves as the series continues, because now we are 7 games in, I think, and we are still going. We are 1-1 tie series. We still need 2 more wins on one of these sides to go ahead and see who's going to win the grand finals here.
All right, players are locked in here, and I have a special surprise for y'all. There is no Bastion in this game. Meteorfallian trying to switch out the strategy. He brought the Firo. If he wins, I don't know, this is really tough, because how do you take out the Corviknight now, right? I think this is the tough part with the Firo, completely switching up the strategy, trying to catch a Stunfisk in the back. Even if you win this lead here, I don't know how you take out this Corviknight in the back.
Yeah, he finally brought that Shadow Kanto Marowak to answer that Stunfisk. He said, I've had enough of that Stunfisk. It's caused me enough trouble. I'm going to bring a hard counter to it, especially because Pranav, I believe, safe swapped it last time. Yeah. And so he didn't have an answer to it, really. He was like, I thought Corsola was a good enough answer. Nope, we're bringing the Marowak this time.
It's actually probably better if Pranav brings the Corviknight, because then you can see it for the side of Meteorfallian. And Pranav may be a little stressed because he's thinking, all right, there's probably a Bastion somewhere in the back here. He's trying to figure out how to play around that situation. And we get another debuff coming through, but looks like Meteorfallian's not going to shield us up. This is going to be a really tough matchup because that Corviknight just completely beats the backline. Oh, and he saves off the Firo, but now comes Corviknight.
Yeah, he's met with that Corviknight, and Corviknight does resist everything that Firo throws. We talked about it earlier, how it's one of the best answers to this Firo, actually. So it's funny that he brings the Firo and then it's immediately met by the Corviknight here. That air cutter did chunk. Looks like we'll have to land 3 air cutters here to knock out this Firo, though. And these drill packs are going to do a substantial amount of damage, even though they are resisted.
You know, the game is not completely over, because with the Marowak on the Fortress, he could be in a good position, but you really need to bring the health bar of this Corviknight to a manageable position for the Marowak to have a chance. I don't know if this Firo has what it takes here, but I mean, I thought this was a bad matchup. It doesn't even look as bad as I thought it did.
Yeah, those double resist sand attacks are not doing anything to this Firo. You have to land 3 air cutters here to actually KO this Firo or land a payback at some point. He does get to a 3rd drill pack here. This is going to put the Corviknight actually very low. So not as comfortable of a matchup as Pranav might have thought initially. I don't know if he's ever played that out before. It was actually a charge attack priority, so he is going to go ahead and KO this Firo now, but then Meteorfallian come in, farm down with something else.
Yeah, probably going to come in with the Marowak, and in comes the Marowak, and now comes the Fortress. Not what Pranav expected. For the first time, it is not the Bastion. And this is kind of a weird matchup. With shields up, it's not terrible for the Fortress. You either throw resisted rock tomb to debuff them, or you could throw sand attacks to debuff them in a separate way, but you have a way to clear the debuffs. However, if you swap over to the Cordelia, oh, he calls the sand tomb as well. Can this be a miscue, though? It's a real question, because does it put it in a range where you can bug bite down?
Yeah, these bug bites are going to chunk this Marowak. I think he had to shield that, because he has a Cradily in the back that doesn't have all that much HP either. So he's just gonna, I think Pranav can just bug bite through everything at this point, unless Cradily can potentially get to a move here, which it's nowhere near a move. He's just gonna bug bite down and come out with a bunch of energy and start debuffing the Marowak even more.
Yeah, I mean, if you thought Acid doesn't do much to Bastion, it doesn't do much to a Fortress as well. I think Pranav has the solution for success here, going to debuff this Marowak yet again and try to bug bite through all the way. Even if you don't take it out, you still have another Pokemon back. 3-ball flex here is going to be Pranav taking another win. He is one game away from winning the entire championship here in Milwaukee.
Wow, insane gameplay for Pranav, and keeping those shields was huge there, because if those shields were down, Marowak would win that matchup. But 2 shields up, Fortress can just bug bite straight through it and just go straight debuff, right? Just keep throwing those Sand Tombs, and you have to shield them because those bug bites are what's doing all the damage, not the Sand Tomb. You can't shield the bug bite damage.
No, you cannot. It's a tough situation. I mean, the Furo in my... It didn't do as bad as I thought it would, right? I thought it was going to be a way harder matchup.
Yeah.
It's that Corviknight. Obviously, if you get into Unova Stumpus, it's way worse, although you do have the super effective drill run, so you could opt for that, but you get completely outpaced in that situation. If you got it onto the Fortress, it could have been pretty good. And it looked like it was Meteorfallian that actually swapped out, despite the fact that he was winning the lead situation and he had charge attack priority in that mirror matchup. So, I mean, that's important information to have now for the future game, or maybe next 2 games if Meteorfallian's able to find a win here. The real question is, how does he adjust in this situation? I really think that the Bastion is fine, but he just needs to play around it a little bit better and just chip around and, you know, and chip the Corviknight, swap over, chip and stuff like that too, right? Because he's finding ways around it. But here we go. He is going to lock in for maybe one final game. Pranav's still trying to think it through a bit. I mean, he looks kind of stressed, but I feel like he's playing this matchup really well. He's only dropped 1 game out of 6 so far.
Yeah, so we are locked in and ready. Potentially our last game here, unless Meteorfallian can squeeze out the win here. And we have the Corsola Mirror to start us off. We're gonna see who's gonna win this charge attack priority. I'm expecting they'll either both go for the charge attack priority initially, or they might just keep over farming. It just depends on how they like to play this matchup. Meteorfallian actually goes for it right away. Maybe he's confident that he would win that charge attack priority, whereas Pranav waits and doesn't throw immediately. He'd rather just take that Nightshade and keep farming.
All right, and I think Meteorfallian, I was going to say he's going to shield and try to staunch down, but instead letting this go as well. Maybe going to try to go for a catch on the next staunch. You can see the health bar's a lot lower in that situation here. Does he go for a Nightshade to dip out? He is going to reach it, and it's going to be the Corviknight, though, that wins that charge attack priority. This is really brutal for Meteorfallian. He's going to let it go. He doesn't really want to spend a shield on an air cutter, but a chance for a boost, which would not be a great time. No boost, and now comes the Blast Twist. This is pretty good for Meteorfallian to avoid the Corviknight versus Furo matchup. However, there's still the Cradily in the back for the Furo, and Cradily is going to beat Furo in all the even shield situations.
Yeah, and Corsola still has some health on it. You will have to throw a move at it at some point to get rid of it before it gets to a move. So that could potentially get to a power gem against that Furo later on as well.
He calls the air card bait as well. This is pretty big for Meteorfallian, maybe trying to bank everything onto this Furo, which I think is the recipe for success here. Oh, and tries to go for a catch, doesn't quite get it. However, still throws a Hydro Scan for the chip damage. I actually like this play a lot because, again, that's not an easy matchup for the Furo. So if you chip it down, it makes it a little bit easier here. I think the pacing now is on charge attack priority, which means that this Furo should be able to get the drill back off. Yes, at the same exact time, but does Pranav spend his final shield now? This is brutal for him because if he does, he's in such a tough position, but if he doesn't, he's also in a tough position as well because there's no health left.
Yeah, that drill pipe did a lot of damage, but Meteorfallian can safely shield up this Rock Tomb. This is going to be the hardest hitting move left in the game. Can Corsola potentially get to another move later on? He's going to get the full peck down here, though. Pranav cannot make it to another move. This is a lot of energy onto this Furo. He can come in with Corviknight and soak it, though. But again, at some point, that Furo might end up pecking down that Corsola in the back, too. You can never astonish it down.
Exactly. In comes the Blast Switch. Oh, he catches
the air cutter
and gets a full rollout through as well. That's absolutely huge for Meteorfallian.
playing really well in this pivotal game for him. He needs to win this to have a chance. We do get the boost coming through on the Corviknight. Final shield is going to be spent. And here's the thing. We're talking about how there's lack of fast attack pressure. There's no fast attack pressure on this Fearow. Double resisted Sand Attack, double resisted Astonish. I think Meteorfallian is going to put everything. Oh no, he actually spends final shield.
Shields the Blastoise, which is very interesting. I would have expected him to save that shield for Fearow, but maybe he just really wants to get this Hydro Cannon off. However, Pranav will get to another air cutter that's going to come really close to knocking out. He did get a boost, so this might actually knock out this Blastoise. Could also potentially, yeah, it does actually just knock it out. He loses that entire Hydro Cannon. Now, he is boosted. Can he land a move? He actually catches the Drill Peck on his Corsola. This is massive. Can he undercharge enough to potentially get to another Drill Peck here and outpace that Corviknight to a payback? He does have to land a payback.
Going to be
He's
super
very,
close.
very close.
It's going to be
does outpace
the
the Drill Peck.
priority.
This will KO the Corviknight. We know it's in range. He will not get that payback off.
And we have a game 5 here in Milwaukee.
Game number 5.
Meteorfallian digging deep there, putting everything on the Fearow to win it. Who would have thought? Bastion for what? 6, 7 straight games, and finally he's like, you know what? I'm gonna play the style that I've been playing all tournament long. And this is the thing with Meteorfallian, right? For the past couple years, especially early on, even when he made those top cuts in either 2022, 2023, didn't make many top cuts in 24 or 25, but he was relying on the RPS strategy of Bastion, Shadow, Victory Bell, right? A lot of the fast attack pressure teams. And this time in Milwaukee, what impressed me the most is that he has adopted a completely different play style, right? And he's playing more energy-oriented. Yes, he has the Bastion. Once in a while, he'll bring it, but he's relying a lot more on the Fearow and just shows that he's a much more well-rounded player. Leaning more into his roots early on, it didn't really pay off for him. And honestly, I doubted the Fearow as well, but you gotta fear the Fearow here. I mean, like I said, this was history in the making. It's potentially the first ever tournament of Merkle wins, but this is also the first potential tournament of Fearow wins. And I don't know if we ever even had a top cut with the Fearow, let alone one in the grand finals and one potentially winning the whole thing.
Yeah, he has been playing this Fearow so well for the entire tournament. All of yesterday, we saw it a lot. And then he ran to Pranav, was like, I'm just going to bring Bastion on. And I was shocked. So I was like, I think the Fearow could be the answer here. And now he's bringing the Fearow. This is the adjustment he needed to start winning these games. And we are locked in for a decisive game 5. We have Fearow into Murkrow. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, if this is not a signature pick for either trainer, I don't know what is. Murkrow is going to win the charge attack priority. Both throwing Peck, both throwing Drill Peck as well. And Meteorfallian going to shield this up too. Wants to save the energy maybe for later, but I mean, honestly, this is probably the best it's going to go. Let's see what happens. Maybe going to go for the overfarm here instead and going to throw this first before seeing if he's going to shield again.
Caleb, let's take a look at this back line.
Yeah,
he ran triple weak to this Murkrow. He has to stay in here.
Yeah, and you know, you could win the zero shield here. Do you ever try to peck down? It's super awkward. I don't think you'll get to it, but maybe you could try to catch a Drill Peck on
Corsola.
Corsola? I mean, it's super weird.
Could potentially catch a Drill Peck here after he gets the last shield. Or Pranav could potentially just let this go and take shield advantage here, which might be the play. He actually does shield his Murkrow.
All 4 shields spent already in the first few seconds of the game. Oh, he goes for the foul play. This is not too bad, though, because now you have neutralized the threats of the Murkrow. Maybe you astonish down. Mudslap down would be pretty ambitious, too. But the problem is you have a Credilli in the back, and if Pranav makes the right decision here, he brings in Corsola. There's nowhere for this Marowak to go, and he does exactly that. He's only a couple matchups away from potentially winning it all. Meteorfallian's going to have to pull off some absolute magic here to win out this back line.
Yeah, he does need to land at least 2 Nightshades plus the Astonish damage, and he is going to take a payback, which is going to put this Corsola extremely low. He does reach for that Nightshade, and Pranav gets the payback right before he gets there. Will Pranav look to swap out? Will he just stay and take the Nightshade? Nightshade is not even going to threaten a KO here. Corviknight will live this. I'm guessing he's got to pivot Marowak here. He can't allow the Corviknight to get more energy and get to a potential air cutter against something else.
Here comes the Marowak as well. Pranav comes in, and here's the thing, right? You can tank one of these grass knots, no problem here, and that way you might be able to put this Credilli in a lower range. It's not completely over yet. Pranav's going to go for the grass knot here, but he's going to have to throw 2 moves or throw a lot of acid to do that.
Yeah, the Grass Knot's going to come dangerously
Oh my gosh,
close
look
to
at the muscle
KOing
damage.
this Marowak, though. It is potentially just barely going to live it. After those acids, it is going to come very, very close. Puts it in deep in the red. He does get this one last Mud Bomb or Bone Club off onto this Cradily. It will not knock out. The thing is, his Corviknight in the back still has a move loaded.
The Simul KO! This is going to be so close. Can you astonish out?
He
No, you have
gets
the air cutter.
Will
Is
it knock
enough?
out? Is it enough damage? Will that astonish KO? Will the air cutter KO? This is
It's
going to come down to the wire.
here. Air cutter.
Air cutter.
Wait, is that
He
enough?
lives.
No, it's
Corviknight doesn't
not. Wins its first ever tournament here in Milwaukee. 1 HP in the dream here. The first ever tournament for him. The first ever tournament for Firo. And back-to-back North America regionals with the Fascia on the team.